Hills in the city of Los Angeles and Ventura County. At 4:32 p.m., we received a 911 call that a suspect was attempting to light a fire in the community of Woodland Hills and was being detained by residents. Officers from LAPD's Topanga area responded and took that suspect into custody. And once we learned that this suspect was a possible arson suspect, our Major Crimes Division responded to Topanga Division along with Ventura County sheriffs, who was a lead in the Kenneth fire investigation, but they responded, they interviewed this suspect. After the interview and additional investigative steps, looking at some additional evidence that was present, they made the determination that there was not enough probable cause to arrest this person on arson or suspicion of arson.
Okay.
And therefore, this person was arrested on a felony probation violation. This investigation is ongoing, however, and I'd like to thank those community members that were involved in this and helping us bring this person to our attention, and so we can have an ongoing investigation. The second point I want to talk about is for any of those people looking for loved ones or missing people related specifically to the Palisades fire. Now, the county is also doing this for the Eaton fire, but for the city of Los Angeles, we've stood up a family assistance center. This center is located at Chevy Hills Recreation Center, and it's at 2551 Motor Avenue. It's going to be open today from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We will have 10 officers there ready to receive anyone who needs to report a missing person related to the Palisades fire. We will also have the American Red Cross, the Mayor's Crisis Response Team, the LA County Medical Examiner's Office, and the LA County Department of Mental Health. They will be there to help support, answer questions, and provide information as necessary. Again, I just want to emphasize this is for missing people related to Palisades fire. This is not for any other issues related to the fire. LAPD and our law enforcement partners are actively maintaining law and order in the areas impacted by the fires. We're patrolling these areas to deter criminal activity and to continue to ensure public safety. Today, we're deploying 210 officers in these impacted areas. This deployment includes our partners from LA Port PD and LAWA PD, and I'm thankful for their support.
Okay.
Again, protecting our homes, businesses in evacuated and vulnerable zones are our priority, and we will continue to ensure that no one takes advantage of these situations.
I mean, I think that's
you've heard this message before, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important and so critical. Looting has zero tolerance. Looting or exploiting in the disaster areas will not be tolerated. Anybody caught looting or committing crimes in the affected areas will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We'll remain vigilant and patrol these areas and ensure that we can mitigate any activity like this.
This is going to be huge for...
And again, if you haven't already done so, you will start seeing in the city of Los Angeles the National Guard being deployed at the Palisades fire. Their role is going to be traffic control, managing roadways to ensure access to affected areas is restricted to authorized personnel only. They're going to be manning critical infrastructure security, as well as doing checkpoints and verifying credentials for those for ingress and egress. And lastly, these measures, controlling access, they are necessary. I just want the communities to know they are necessary for public safety and for proper community recovery. They are inconvenience, but it's something that we have to do. Residents are encouraged to call 911 if they see any suspicious activity. Law enforcement, National Guard, and other first responders are here to support this community and ensure their safety in a difficult time. Our commitment remains steadfast to restoring safety and normalcy as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible to LA County, man.
From the community are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
At
this time, I'd like to introduce Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman.
I guess we got to hear what the DA got to say, then I can just say my piece after that. I need to find a brush.
Good
Man.
morning.
I need to brush my hair. My receding hairline.
District Attorney's Office will be considering
right
up to now 5 different types of cases that will eventually be presented from law enforcement. Let's start with arson.
Efficiency that's
If it is determined that there is a man-made and intentional setting of any of the fires involved in this situation, the people who committed this arson will be arrested, they will be prosecuted, and they will be punished to the full extent of the law. Right now, obviously, law enforcement and the firefighters are focused on containing these properties, saving lives, saving homes. But eventually we will get to the causes of those fires, and that part, the DA's office will be working with law enforcement to go after anyone who's guilty of the crime of arson. Second types of crimes. If people are going to violate this curfew restriction and they get arrested, they...
Slow down, honey.
Man,
Too fast,
listen.
Trevor, too fast.
I know what I'm doing, Mom.
I guess I got a commercial break. We're back.
Police department and local law enforcement is going to be working overtime to protect your home.
Of course.
In that way, if you violate the curfew, you will be arrested and then you will be prosecuted by the district attorney's office. Third issue, looting. Looting is a despicable crime.
There we go.
For the people who've already been arrested, please know that this is not going to end well. You will be punished to the full extent of the law, and I'm sending this warning message out again. If you want to take and go ahead and take advantage of people who have tragically suffered enormous losses in this county, the district attorney's office, working with law enforcement, will make sure you are arrested, you are prosecuted, and you are maximally punished. Drones. If you're thinking that it's fun to send a drone up in the area for your own amusement, or you want to get information that nobody else can get, and you do it in one of these areas that for which drones are not permitted, I'll repeat one more time. You will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you will be punished to the full extent of the law.
Full extent of the law. They're
And
not
the
playing
last
in LA County,
type
man.
of crime that we'll be looking at are scams, and we're already seeing them. We're seeing people being targeted in GoFundMe scams by people who are trying to entice people to give money to people who have suffered, when the people who are arranging this GoFundMe page are nothing but scammers. You must be aware of who you are being approached by.
No lie. If we're going to go after the scammers, let me turn this down. If we're going to go with the scammers, yeah, he's talking about insurance. Go after the insurance companies too.
They are going to target the people who have been tragically affected, and you cannot allow them to do it. I would suggest that if you want internet...
If you're going to talk about the scammers, let me turn the bro down again. You need to talk about these insurance companies that decided to say, okay, 1,600 or 1,100, however many thousands of people who had coverage and say, you know what, we're not going to cover fire. We know about the wildfires. We know about the water drought. We know about all these things that happen in California. The same insurance companies like State Farm or whoever, they're in these communities, they're in these places, but they can't provide the coverage for the natural disaster they're trying to cover. Why are you operating in two of the largest states, or even California being one of the largest states in the country, and you're not able to provide coverage for the simple coverage that people are paying for? Why would people pay for coverage that doesn't include fire? Why will people in Florida pay for coverage that doesn't include flood and tornadoes or anything else? It's like the insurance entire industry is a scam, right? They have insurance, then they have reinsurance for the insurance, and the underwriters get reinsurance for the reinsurance. There's money out there. There are billions of dollars of money out there, and you're making people pay these premiums, and you can't even rebuild half of the home that they had. Because even the base price, I think the average house in Palisades was maybe $3.5 million. So you mean out of those $3.5 million, damn, people, everyone want to text when I'm on the stream. Oh, my dog. Basically, what was I? Basically, it doesn't make sense why the insurance gets out as if they're not a scam too. This is why the scammers hit the insurance and the GoFundMes, because they need some inspiration. It's like, listen, they know that they're paying into a system and say, you know what, I'm gonna pay my insurance every day or every month for 3 or 4 years. I never file a claim, but the one time I file a claim, I still have a $5,000, $10,000 deductible. You don't even take credit. Oh yeah, you paid it, but this year, whatever, right? Insurance is one of the biggest scams. It's one of those get protected if anything ever happens, but pay into it. And if you ever need this money back, you're never going to get it. And when we decide to say, okay, cool, you have been paying for it, guess what we're not going to cover? If you're paying for insurance, it should cover every damn thing, right? And this is why people get into these conversations about healthcare and everything else. But let's get back into this We're on the live stream. I appreciate everybody tapping in.
Up your zip code if you are near these
We're live. I want to say YouTube. I'm trying to get my YouTube vertical going.
I'm also calling
Twitch,
on
we should be
insurance
live.
to suspend
I need to do Kick.
pending non-renewals
And I think I need to change my TikTok to actually get it off Armor Forger, but I need to go to Restream to do that. So let me get my credentials together while I'm out here with y'all. I have a 1 o'clock, so it won't be a long stream. But I'm gonna try to do a daily or a weekly stream that kind of wraps up some of the news.
Your insurance
As you
company
know, LA
should
fires
do the right thing and retain you
have been
as
one
a
of the
valued
biggest things this
policyholder.
week.
I call upon all
on top of
property
the Trump
insurance companies
sentencing, on top
to
of the
pause
Jimmy
these
Carter funeral,
non-renewals
and it's
and
snowing in
cancellations
Atlanta,
and
which
provide
is very ironic
essential
and very.
stability for our
I know it's happened
communities,
before,
allowing
but, I
consumers
mean, we just
to
in a different
focus
stage
on what's
with it, man,
important
so
at the moment, their safety and recovery.
We're not fighting for the goal.
In my notice, I also
Did I
urge
put the TikTok
insurers
on? I didn't
to
even put
extend the
TikTok on,
payment
yeah.
grace period
Let me,
beyond the existing 60 days
me
for
get the TikTok
policyholders
together then.
in areas directly affected by the wildfires, enabling Angelinos to pay their home insurance premiums amidst the challenges
be the
that they are
category?
currently facing.
If I'm talking.
And if your policy was not renewed, or if you don't have coverage,
my categories?
please call us at 1-800-927-4357. We can help you find additional solutions.
Politics.
I have also directed my department's enforcement team
Trump,
to protect Angelinos from fraudsters targeting wildfire survivors and to
wouldn't
assist
have
with the
been. Okay,
ongoing
there we go.
evacuation efforts.
The Gulf of America. I forgot the
Department
Gulf
has
of
moved
America will
quickly
happen this week
to
too.
host an insurance support workshop on January 18th and 19th at Santa Monica College, followed by another
Yeah, Gulf of
event
America
the following weekend
It's
at
probably one of the
Pasadena
funniest things
City
I saw
College.
this week.
We will have experts from our
on top
staff
of everything.
and
Let me
representatives from
get the
insurance
TikTok
companies
together. I appreciate everybody
available so
tapping on YouTube.
homeowners can obtain answers
Another
and take the action
channel
they
so
need
far.
in one convenient location.
Well,
Again, call us at 1-800-927-4357 to
yeah,
schedule
let's talk
a
soon,
one-on-one
boss. Hey,
appointment with our
Winston, if you
experts.
tap into the stream,
Related to
let's
health,
talk soon, boss.
I've issued an additional notice to all California health insurers directing them to submit emergency plans to my department. These plans must detail how they're going to ensure that consumers
I need
can
to take the
continue
clicker off.
to
I used to
access
enjoy the clicker on
essential medical
iPhone,
care
and
and obtain their
when you
medications
tap it,
in the wake of these
But it's
disasters.
like, ain't no real button, so
I've
why,
been in
what I need
constant
to hear?
communication with our county leaders,
Anyway,
governor, the legislative leaders, and our congressional delegation
hope everybody's
to
having a good
identify
day.
best ways to expedite our recovery,
I don't
reduce
think my
wildfire
vertical on
risk,
YouTube.
and
I've been
build
trying
a
to
more
do the vertical and the
climate-resilient
horizontal on YouTube.
state and communities. Making
It
homes
has-
and communities safer
the
from
complexity set
wildfires
up.
needs to be a top
I just don't
priority
think
for our
it's working.
state.
I think it's only
Looking
horizontal
forward,
right
I'm
now,
going to
but
ask the governor
either way,
and the
let's see
state
what we keep
legislature
talking about, man. Let's
to
try to-
support my proposal to provide consumers with home hardening grants. We need to put money in people's hands. This measure is critical to protecting homes and improving long-term resilience against wildfire risk.
Man, that
We are
sound like
also
it's
going to
gonna
be
work.
introducing legislation to include businesses in our moratorium law. Businesses are an important consumer of insurance and the financial backbone of many communities, and they also need this vital protection. Newly enacted insurance reforms are now in effect to make insurance rates more stable and predictable. My sustainable insurance strategy mandates that insurance companies expand and maintain coverage in high wildfire areas if they are going to use full.
This is the only way to
Man, come on, man. I ain't trying to see no more commercials.
Right now,
Let me turn this guy
money.
down.
Listen, multifamily real estate.
The second I want to turn the
Real
volume
estate
down and skip the ad come up.
For our residents,
Let's get back to it.
it
man.
ensures that Californians in wildfire-prone areas retain access to insurance
They going
and
hard
brings
on the girl
competition
can't
back
bass,
into
man.
the market and ultimately lowering
To
the
lead
cost.
is one thing, but
Without these measures,
This is
insurance
something
companies
else.
may continue non-renewals, leaving communities at greater risk of underinsurance and total loss of coverage. Even with these devastating wildfires, I want to be clear, I am confident that these reforms
Whitlock,
will keep
man.
us on track to modernizing
Crazy,
our
man.
insurance
George
market,
Taylor News,
encourage
Skip Bayless
insurers
is
to return and
supposedly,
expand in California, and protect the
man, you
solvency
think
of our
Skip
market.
Bayless? No, let me
We
stop. Let me
remain the
stop, 'cause,
largest
you know,
insurance market in the nation,
say something these
fourth in the
days,
world. Our goal
a
is to
little half
ensure they
clip it
remain
with
financially solvent and
a
can
YouTube
honor
page
the
with no real
claims
subs,
that will stabilize our
and then
insurance
all of a
market
sudden, you
in
know,
the
we'll
long
be
run. Now, let me just quickly address
Need
issues
some liability
surrounding
insurance
the
or something,
insurer
I
of
said.
last resort, which we call the fair price.
Jalasian.
It has become clear that reforms
I
are
appreciate
necessary
you, man.
as
Jalez,
the
I appreciate
coverage
you, man.
maximums
Very
have
distinct,
not
very
changed
clear. Love
in
it.
30
Hey, I've been
years.
trying to upgrade
I
some.
recognize
I've
that
been
for some
upgrading my
Californians,
office
the
for the
coverage
past
limits,
like
even
couple
the ones
months.
that
Me and
we've
my
already
homegirl.
implemented, are
My
still very
homegirl, really,
low.
she done all the
Under
woodwork,
my
all
strategy,
the
we have
shiplap,
also ensured
everything
the
here.
creation of a stronger,
And
more sustainable
nothing major,
fair
but you know, a
plan
nice little
with
build
the
out.
long-term
But
financial
trying to make something
strategy
happen.
to
I appreciate you
withstand the
tapping in.
challenging
How's your day
fires
going?
we are experiencing today.
We
Let
need
me
to
be
get
clear,
back on
once
that
the
Call of
fires
Duty, man.
are brought under control,
I
we
haven't
will
played
get
Call of Duty with my
data
girl in a while.
directly from the insurance industry and the fair plan about claims filed, as we have.
You're not in
that we
LA,
have
are you?
On all the other fires that may
Anybody
or
in
may
LA?
not
I know
happen.
have my
We are focused on
Let me
maintaining the
turn
fair
Birdie
plan's
down. 'Cause we don't
financial
talk about
health.
insurance all day. I know I have family in LA, Anaheim. My nieces actually, one had to evacuate. The other one isn't too far away from where all this is happening. But everybody's safe. You know, a lot of smoke, things of that nature. But it's telling. It's telling to see how nature happens, and I know that some folks are going to go after the mayor for the budget piece of her cutting the firefighters. I mean, it's easy to me to say, yeah, you should have made sure the firefighters had the money. You should have made sure that this was happening. How do we run out of water? People who aren't in the day-to-day public works process, they wouldn't understand what's happening, right? It's easy to like make decisions or be a GM from the outside, right? But when you have to make certain cuts, I'm quite sure it happens. Who this? Did I miss the mayor talking? I must have missed the mayor talking earlier. Because these are all the other officials. And we got to get into the Trump sentencing. Hold on, what are you talking about?
Initial reports suggest that 10,000 properties have been damaged or destroyed, with hundreds more likely to be discovered in the coming days.
Wow.
I appreciate that
10,000
property
homes,
taxes
crazy.
are not high on the list of things to worry about right now, as so many are focused on housing and safety, but financial issues will soon become a major issue for the victims of the fires. Under California law, if your property, your home or your business has been damaged or destroyed, you may qualify for property tax relief under the Misfortune and Calamity Program. This program allows my office to reduce your assessed value of your property, which is what your taxes are based upon, to reflect the damage. Here are the key details. To qualify, the damage needs to exceed $10,000, and you must file a claim within 12 months.
Okay.
Once filed, we will investigate and verify the claim, determine the cost to cure, and then reduce the assessed value effective the date of the damage occurred. The reduction remains in place until the property is repaired, rebuilt, or undergoes a change in ownership. It does seem clear that we may need legislative help to ensure maximum benefits to victims, and I'm glad some legislators are here today. We look forward to talking to them about making some of those fixes. The filing of this claim also facilitates coordination with the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office, allowing taxpayers who pay property taxes directly, that is not through an impound account with their mortgage lender, to defer their current year property taxes without incurring penalties or interest. We are working closely with our county partners to identify impacted properties and will assist homeowners and businesses through every step of this process. For all claims, we aim to do that, process them as quickly as possible. Once the tax roll is updated, the auditor controller will recalculate the taxes. If you're due a refund, it will be issued, or if taxes remain owed, an adjusted bill with new due dates will be sent. My staff, who's here, has handouts with a lot of the information these programs detailed. I did want to also emphasize that you should not pay anybody to access these services. My office provides them all for free, and we can be reached at assessor.lacounty.gov or at 213-974-3211.
Over 10,000 homes, and Buddy saying.
Thank you. Thank you. U.S. Fire Administrator Dr. Lori Moore Merrill.
All right, sorry. I'm sorry, young lady. 10,000 homes is a lot, especially to try to recover from an insurance standpoint or anything else. So it's like there are going to be a lot of people who I don't know how they're going to rebuild. And if any businesses are impacted, imagine your home stays safe, but your place of employment got burned down to the ground. Now you're looking for a new job, and now you're displaced because now you're financially impacted. So there are major impacts. On top of this, I'm worried about also the grid, like other things, human safety, of course, but what's going to be the impact to rebuild this, and what does that rebuild look like in cost? And these are already super rich, wealthy areas. I talked to some of my family in the LA area last night, And they were like, yeah, you know, it's not hitting Compton. It's not hitting a lot of the other urban areas that you would expect for it to be. But because of that, it's like, you know, is there some kind of setup to say, hey, yeah, come burn the rich areas down? And I don't want to joke about that or even have that out there like that, but it's a fact of like, it could be true. Some people, as you've seen, arsoned it up, but they got arrested. Citizens stepped up and arrested them. But it'll be interesting to see how LA rebuilds from this, man. To be honest, let's go back.
So again, I want to thank you all, and with that, we're going to take maybe one question because I know we've got to run out to Altadena. But go ahead.
Okay, why don't we go? Can we just, Supervisor? I'm so sorry. We'll just get a couple over here. 2 or 3. We'll do. By the way, we will do one-on-one interviews afterwards. Okay, I will help you get the information you need. Go ahead.
Thank you. My question is for Mayor Bass.
So my bit rates were
Jonathan Migliotti with CBS News. Yesterday, you asked for the public's patience as you assess the response. As you well know, then millions of people receive false alarms. It's been acknowledged here in this room that many may now be deactivating their alerts on their phones. I have heard from many people who are ignoring them altogether. We have red flag warnings still in effect. They will resume again next week.
So now
there is no rain in the forecast. What are you doing at this point to earn back people's trust and to make sure these mistakes don't happen again?
Well, first of all, I think that was addressed at the beginning of the press conference by Kevin McGowan.
I would like that from you. I don't. You're the top official here.
So let me just be clear. I am going to spend every moment that I can making sure that I am in as many areas as.
I appreciate y'all tapping in. It's your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. I got another commercial.
On the phone with 911 as someone is trying to break in.
Recovery. But I also mentioned that we're moving into recovery mode at the same time, meaning that we want to see the city rebuilt. We want to see Los Angeles come together. Let me finish. We want to see Los Angeles come together.
They're not zooming in on us. Millions of people here who get these alerts. They are ignoring them. You still have red flag warnings in effect. There is a real threat here. What is your message to your constituents?
Let me turn this up, turn me down.
You started this entire
I want the residents of Los Angeles region to have faith in what we are doing 24 hours a day. I can say on behalf of our first responders, from the fire department, the police department, we are doing everything we can to bring the situation under control, and success has been reported. We know that we're going to have a possible increase in the force of the winds at the beginning of next week, and getting Los Angeles prepared, doing everything we can to save lives. That is our #1 job, to protect people's homes, to protect people's businesses, and to prepare to rebuild Los Angeles in a much better way. We're going to stand united. We're going to stand together, and we are not going to allow politics to interfere, and we're not going to allow people to divide us for political gain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bass. One over here.
Bob DeCastro from Good Day LA, Fox 11. Just to follow up on that, because even after yesterday that errant message was sent out to Los Angeles County, some 10 million people, overnight, people were still receiving many messages, and we were even fielding calls from our own newsroom from people as far as San Bernardino that were receiving calls. You have no idea why people are getting these alerts and being startled in the middle of the night when they're already on edge in the Inland Empire. Why has that happened? You have no idea. And you also asked that people verify and get onto a website. Not everybody has the ability to jump on a website when they're panicked to try and figure out whether or not this is an actual
man is going to work over
Thank
here.
you, and I appreciate the thoughts you're sharing and the question. I would take a second to explain how the alert system works. There's an interface, and you activate that interface with what type of an alert you're going to send, an evacuation order, an evacuation warning, and you identify a geographical area. after you initiate that message
Tell him if he hit
package
one of
is
these
sent
right
into
quick,
what
he
is
ain't
the
doing no
integrated
sign language,
public
bro.
and alert warning system.
You can't tell me they're gonna allow
aggregator.
TikTok dance, but he doing sign
That
language.
then transitions, I'll call it for lack of better terms,
It's the
into
head
a
of this.
cloud that connects with all of our self-service providers.
That ain't no TikTok dance.
The root cause
That ain't no TikTok
analysis
dance.
is trying to establish
Look at bruh.
where along that
Hey.
that sequence
Hey.
there is an
Hit him with
error
that.
going on.
Hit him with that.
And in
Right,
addition
hit him
to
with
that,
thing, bruh.
it is important to understand that the cellular phone
Real.
towers have different reach in how they're activating the
Barrett,
message to the cell
whatever
phone.
that is, appreciate you.
And so it's a common
Look at bruh.
phenomenon
Tell
that
me
there's
that. Hey,
a term called bleed over, where a cell phone that may be in a different jurisdiction or a different area is receiving that message from a cellular tower that may be geographically in a different space.
Let's
So right now, our number one
Let's
priority
be serious again,
is
y'all.
to establish how we can work with our, well, in coordination with our federal and state partners, how we can stop the messages that are going out right now that are not being initiated
Are they
by
hacked?
a human
that's my
action.
concern. Is the city of LA, is there a system
To stop that and then understand how that
If the
occurred
system was hacked, it would make sense why people would get alerts. And
so that the tool can still be
setting them up or
used for
sending
what
them.
was
Like, it's
identified as like a
actually
critical fire weather that we're still in experiencing and will continue to experience.
So can I just follow up on that? The bottom line is we are going to drill down because I too got the alert. I got 2 alerts, and then I got an alert telling me to disregard the alerts. And, you know, as someone who has communities that are on edge, that are lined up, and I'm sure Mayor Gordo has the same situation going on as well.
Some of them,
They're on pins and needles thinking that they're next. So we're drilling down right now, and the way it's described to me is there are towers that are now powering up, and it's up in this cloud. It's kind of like when you send an email and it goes into draft, and then once you hit internet, it gets sent. Similar, but my question is, why can't we turn it off? And the answers we're getting are not satisfying. I'm not making any excuses. Unacceptable. And it is frustrating because we are asking people to trust us, to believe us when we say evacuate. So if we're going to tell them to evacuate, we better make darn sure we're targeting the right people.
So what she's saying for real is the vendor they hired, I would say either they got hacked or they're about to lose that contract because there has to be, government doesn't say, okay, cool, we're going to create this and do it, right? They go buy something, buy a product, contract a service, and they have an emergency alert service that can send the text messages out. This is my major assumption. Understand how some parts of government work, right? So what they're basically saying is the vendor has a system that's kind of effed up, right? And the vendor sent the alerts out to everybody in LA, but now we have to sit here and eat crow for it because this is the vendor that's probably been through the procurement system or whatever to get this. But those alerts, they about to lose that contract. So that means that if you're in that space, you have a business, you want to make some introductions, let the smoke settle, let everything clear, and get ready to make some introductions, right? Because you have to position yourself now as the next company that's not going to make this happen, that you're going to be cutting edge, you're going to be on top of what you need to, and these type of alerts won't happen. So that's the breakdown of what's happening. So everybody on stage is eating crow right now because guess what? They have to bear the blunt of the burden of having that bad contract, that bad vendor.
So I just want to make it clear to you.
And now here's
Thank
where
you,
we
Chair
are, man.
Barger. We are
Absolutely
at time. We're over time. Thank you.
Everybody
We will
tapped
do
into the stream. I
one-on-ones.
appreciate you
If you
being
need
here
assistance,
between
please come see
YouTube,
me or a member of
Twitch.
the team.
YouTube twice.
Thank you,
We on
speakers,
vertical
again.
and
Thank you all
horizontal.
for attending.
Or landscape, whatever you want to do. You see the number. We're gonna if you know anybody in LA, I have family in the LA region, Anaheim, Los Angeles, all the way through. People impacted, smelling the smoke, whatever. But if you could translate this, just make sure it gets to the right people. I don't know who may be watching here, but these fires are a bit ridiculous, right? It speaks to the global warming piece. It speaks to a lot of where things we need to fix in the country, right? Because I think it's less about some things like the president, who that's nice and all, but I don't think that that's the end all be all. You feel me? I think that there's a lot of different things
the
that play a
Alpine
role
area
in
last
this,
night, and
there's
the
a lot of
common
Democratic
question
leadership in
was,
California. But
how do I
California
navigate
had
the
$88
insurance
billion budget
process,
deficit.
and will I
So
be able
how
to get
does
insured
all this
again?
play a role?
And so I felt it was
And where we are today.
important
So
for
let me,
us to hear from our insurance commissioner, who's been very engaged
Flip this over.
on this issue.
Show you how I afford
And then I
this
just
car.
want to say to everyone, you know, I've been out
Atlanta.
and I've heard from my residents, and
Before we get to the Trump stuff,
Check
because
this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car.
Atlanta snowed in today.
Okay,
Man.
you ready? All right, $118
Atlanta snowed in
for
heavy.
insurance. That's how much I was paying. Okay?
It's
I picked up the car a few months ago and watched this.
unfortunate thing in the A.
$97 premium. $20 were my fees. $118. Now I covered up my private information,
Copy and
guys.
paste.
$39.
Let's copy and paste it up. Let's get to the A. See what they're talking about.
Since about 11 o'clock, rather 10:30, past hour or so. It's lightened up. It's light, so that is some good news. So that is continued to see a really heavy presence from GDOT. They have brought, you know, the plows through, also that salt mixture right over here on this side exit. So we've seen them kind of just continuously come through this area to try to clear these roads.
It's pretty bad in Atlanta last time I had some snow like this.
A little bit
I had some associates and friends who were stuck on the interstate, had to sleep in their cars all night. Imagine you sleeping in downtown Atlanta traffic 6 lanes across because your car can't move. It's kind of crazy. Global warming, I think it could be a thing, but it's a lot, man. You have the fires there, you got the hurricanes, the Carolinas still impacted through the hurricanes, the insurance companies, like, again, even though snow may not play as huge of a damaging factor as the storms in LA and the hurricanes, I think the insurance issues still could be in Georgia that are everywhere else. And that's a major thing. Insurance to me is the biggest scam. They talk about the scammers, but no, insurance is one of the biggest scams in America. It doesn't honestly make sense, again, how you can pay into a system for your home, for your health, for your dental, whatever. Then all of a sudden you need something, you have to pay a deductible, you have to pay for something else because it's not there. But let's tap into the news and A, see what they're talking about. I'm going to grab some water and find my brush, because my brush, I haven't used it this morning. And my hair needs a brush. Let me see, let me check the chat before I hop out, you know, because they say that I need to talk to the chat when I'm on the stream. But this is interesting.
You're still dealing with snow, but you can see here the pink shading indicating a wintry mix. What is that comprised of? Mostly sleet. There could be some areas of freezing rain, which would mean that the ice threat is starting to increase. But as we look down to the south,
some other people.
I
don't know if my dog Jalasian's still here. I appreciate you tapping in, Jalasian. I know people at work right now on a Friday. I have work calls coming up, so this won't be a long stream, but just more of an informative thing where I want to at least build a base and consistency of, okay, what's my setup need to look like to stream some news? Because it's going to be a mix of gaming. You'll get my gaming channel, Hip Hop Lobbyist Gaming. You also have my political channel. This is here, Hip Hop Lobbyist, streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok right now. But it's just crazy to think that we have the fires on one end of the world, we have Georgia under snow, and people want to talk about other things. I mean, I get it. There's so many natural disasters that are out here. Then you also have Congress that are doing their thing right now with some of these members about immigration and the military immigration. I know I have to skip over to that because from what I saw earlier, Ted Cruz was having a field day with one of these elected members, man. And I want to watch that with y'all on the stream. And I may do another one later tonight. If I don't do Armorer Forger, I may tap in and really just do some more, like a weekly recap of everything, right? As you know, building out the channel, I need to get a consistent base of day to build out for people to tap in, watch the stream. I'm thinking every morning after daycare, right? So my main schedule is, my wife's a teacher, so she's out of here like 6 in the morning. I'm taking my son to daycare, and it could be between 7:30 to 8:39, right? Then I start my day. I normally try to, you know, have my work meetings mid-morning, try to get everything in before a certain time of the day, and, you know, have something there. But I'm thinking like a either daily or weekly show, right? That kind of, maybe 2 times a week, that kind of recaps everything, see where we are in the world politically, to tap in, maybe a Tuesday and a Friday, right? I know that this next week, if you don't know, I'm a lobbyist by trade, hip hop lobbyist. I've been doing it 15 years. And we have our first committee week for the 2025-2026 legislative session next week. So I'll be actually traveling a bit next week.
And remained as a liquid when it hits ground, it all refreezes as temperatures go back down to
so my mic, yeah, we're back. I'll be traveling a bit next week, so it'll be a little tough for me to do a show unless I'm doing it from my phone and laptop, which I like my background, right? And I'm kind of spoiling myself. I want to, record in my office, but we got to make content anywhere we can these days. So most likely I'll record something next week, maybe do a live stream from the Capitol. I got my Meta Ray-Bans. Let me actually, all right, they're already out the case. Let me put these hoes on. So, I could, see that light glare on this. They said it's supposed to be anti-glare. It must be anti-glare from the sun because I can see all these lights. Y'all can see the whole setup. So I got my Meta Ray-Bans, going to record some content, show you what it's like in the legislative process when you're actually, I could kind of shut that down, right? When you're actually in the process and what it looks like from a diversity, equity, inclusion standpoint, a process standpoint, and what it looks like to get things done politically across the board, right? So my biggest thing is educating folks around the different narratives in politics. I don't like the ignorance a lot of our communities have when it comes to process, when it comes to actually influencing change and things that people really get so emotionally tied to that really don't impact your quality of life. Like if you're in the military and talking about, wars, veteran benefits, things of that nature, of course you're going to care. They're talking about Social Security, Medicaid, things of that nature. You're older, of course you're going to care. But when it comes to a younger generation, I think there's a major disconnect between the way the process works and the way we interpret and actually move into it. So, of course, I'm making my content now off today's live news, but I also feel that it's needed. Oh, Atlanta's back. Hold on, let me pop this back up since they're there. I think that it's also needed to help have an avenue of somebody who educates them based on what they do. But I want my show to basically be an informative piece of, an informative piece to the people. I see today just got a text that I probably switched this over. Let me see if I can find it first. Let me see if I can find this first. Is it new? Uh-oh. They said Ron DeSantis has said he will not appoint himself to replace Rubio as senator. Let me see if I can find a press conference from DeSantis today. That's my man right there, Ronnie D. All right, let's see what this my man talking about.
Still on the fence about your decision?
Let's see what Ronnie D talking about. Because Atlanta, I guess they snowed out. I got family there too. Everybody sent their pictures this morning. They seem to be pretty well. What's happening to Governor DeSantis here?
Well, first of all, a governor's primary responsibility is to go to work to keep their state safe. And I have to say, one of the things we talk about as governors all the time is preparing and responding and then recovering after a natural disaster. What's been happening in Los Angeles has been horrific. And I think first and foremost, our hearts pour out to all of those folks who have lost their homes, lost their livelihoods, and are really being driven out. I also believe that there does need to be some action. And I think that collectively between federal governments and state governments, we all work together to address these things. But let me just go right back to it. What's happening in California right now is absolutely heart-wrenching and horrific. And I think we're going to need help from the entire country in order for them to recover.
Does anyone else want to speak to that? Because you all, as governors, obviously deal with emergencies. Often you have to work with the federal government. Sometimes it's your party. Sometimes
you got to be
it's
sitting
not.
for DeSantis to be standing there, knowing he wanted to be president, but it's like
criticizing a governor in the middle of a disaster.
Trump ain't even entertain you, bro. other dude his hand in his pocket looked kind of weird.
Well, first of all, I mean, when Donald Trump was president, he responded very strongly to natural disasters. I can tell you, he responded very positively in Florida, but he also responded favorably when there were Democrat governors. And I think he understands the importance of these situations. You know, I will note, I mean, you talk about, you know, what you're doing. I remember when we had our hurricanes this past hurricane season. We had Hurricane Helene, and Florida, we're locked and loaded for this. We respond. But then you go to North Carolina, and it was like a third world country all of a sudden. There was no sense of urgency from the federal government. I think the state government didn't do very well.
That doesn't even make sense, Ron.
I'm sending my assets up there to help rescue people. Florida, the State Guard is up there doing that. And I think the administration was asleep at the switch. Then Milton came, and they knew that they had suffered some political negativity of that. So I have Harris trying to pick a fight with me in the middle of Hurricane Milton, saying, oh, he's not taking my calls. I tell you, she never called me in my whole tenure as governor on any natural disasters, and I'm not sure she's done very much on this one, even though she's there. So, you know, these things are go how they go, but I can tell you, and I'll say the same with Biden. I worked well with Biden during his time in natural disasters, and I worked well with Donald Trump. So I'm very confident as a state that knows we face these, that a Trump administration is going to be very strong and is going to be there for the people regardless of party.
That's not even. That's not even. I can stop that there. That's not even. I don't even want to hear the rest of this. From a man Ronnie D right there, he's pitching for that U.S. Senate seat or something else because everybody knows he plans on running for president again after the Trump thing lines up. But it's like you're trying to highlight North Carolina having, I guess, the Democratic piece, they're unorganized, the federal government, whatever, right? But you were walking toe and toe with Biden when the hurricanes hit, what, Key West? Like, y'all was sitting in the room, hugged up, buddied up, like Trump and Obama yesterday at Jimmy Carter funeral. It's something else. Actually, let's finish this.
Is it appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen? Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would go you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there. And I know we've dealt with it. We just assume in Florida, anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
Okay, last question. Newsom should resign and that the wildfires are all his fault. So do you agree with those comments?
I remember when we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts or anything. Oh, he didn't declare a state of emergency. First of all, state of emergency doesn't mean you can't respond. It's all that. Excuse me?
Biden did it. I think that's what she's saying.
Well, but what I'm telling you is you guys are trying to make an issue of it when I have watched from this seat. In fact, when I got elected governor, I was meeting with some of the other Republican governors, and what they would say is, hey, if you have a natural disaster, just know media's coming at you. They're going to do it. It's not the same. That mayor of L.A., if that were a Republican mayor, I could...
No, you could tell by the lady in the red coat by her facial expression, because I'll give you this. I haven't always worked in politics. I used to be a bag boy at Winn-Dixie, right? And I could tell by the lady's expression, just in time, even selling women's shoes at Dillard's, you can tell when these old ladies don't like you, right? I don't see it. This lady in the red coat, she's basically saying like, bro, this isn't your press conference, bro. Your name is not on the banner, bro.
I can only imagine what that would do. I mean, you know, the fires are at high risk, and you try to go to Africa or wherever she was to go on some type of voyage. You should have been there preparing and doing that, and yet I don't see a lot of heat being directed.
Look at Buddy in blue. Look at the Buddy in the blue suit too.
I'd like to see some balance on how this is done.
You can tell. You saw. Look. His whole movement. He looked side to side, looked back, blinked, and put his head down like, bro.
So the Republican governor.
Look at him. Somebody had to come and take over.
Accept the president-elect's invitation to come
but
here.
I don't have a problem with Ronnie D.
Have a collaborative working
because guess what? Ronnie D's the governor. I'm a lobbyist in Florida, and I need my projects across that veto pen, baby. I don't have no problem with you, Ronnie D.
Had for 4 years.
I have no problem, but what I do have a problem with is the fact that this isn't even a Ron DeSantis thing. This is a Democrats thing. I'll be honest. Like, I don't have an issue with DeSantis. I have an issue with the fact that people don't like how stern the Republicans are in their positions. And they get someone who's so brash and so reasonably unreasonable, right? That they'll be stuck in their ways because that's what it is. And we want to make sense of shit, right? I just don't understand why we always have to make sense. Like, I like to fight dirty. I'm petty. I'm petty, nasty petty, right? Like, when text messaging was happening, first time in campaigns, I know they overloaded on campaigns now. I put my opponent's whole campaign team on a text thread just for them. So they were getting texts specifically for them 10, 15 times a day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. That's the kind of petty I am, right? Excuse me, bro. It's all, friendly competition. But there's a point of saying that we need Democratic candidates that's going to be just as petty as Trump, DeSantis, and the entire legion of Republicans. Because even though that lady in the red coat and the blue suit dude, whichever governors they were, even though their facial expression said, okay, DeSantis in this press conference, I do feel a part of it also said, like, bruh. Let's go back to some of this LA stuff, though. The alleged arsonist, no, I don't want to see that. Let's look at some of the destruction, because I think it's kind of crazy. If you are watching this video, it's because you live in Jacksonville and I think it's kind of crazy that this is happening.
Hi, I'm Premium Wireless for $15 a month at Mint Mobile. When I Premium Wireless for $15 a month.
All right. Things gonna be very ugly. Overall, there's no volume on this. This ain't even a wildfire. This is just people talking. Oh, there they go. About what, 1 or 2 houses? The Palisades area looks one of the worst. Palisades fire. Let's look at the aerial view, man. This looks crazy. Like, when you load into a Call of Duty match, no funny. The ruined city, like, this looks like something you would about to hop off the plane, a war zone, and go fight. You feel me? This looks like, I know it's like Alcatraz, but Ashika Island. You feel me? This is not America. And again, the crazy part about this is the insurance company's going to look at this, and it's going to be, they say, I think $150 billion. Essentially, all these properties here, everything that's down outside, even the businesses too. The houses alone are like $3.5 million. And the people working there in the service industries or whatever, restaurants, whatever it could have been, it's going to be expensive rebuild. And I want to just honestly say, we need to have a deeper discussion about insurance after this. Of course, life, safety, everything else, but the insurance market is going to have to be, I guess, really assessed, because how can you operate federally? Think about it. How can you operate and you sell these bundle packages, State Farm, Progressive, whoever. You have these bundle packages that you sell, but then you go tell folks that basically you're not going to cover fire.
Starting today, anyone can monetize with ads.
How could you not cover fire in a state that has wildfires? Again, how can you not cover fires in a state that has wildfires?
We are getting some breaking news. We want to take you now to our local CBS coverage.
Oh, that's 2 days ago. It's over.
Trucks get up here in the last hour, but they haven't been able to be here all day up until an hour ago. And so we've watched the embers.
Trump has got out. Trump got out pretty easy for the hush money campaign.
Would your client like to be heard?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system. This is a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. He thought it was, from what I read and from what I hear, inappropriately handled before he got there. A gentleman from a law firm came in and acted as a district attorney, and that gentleman, from what I heard, was a criminal or almost criminal in what he did. It was very inappropriate. It was somebody involved with my political opponent. Part of the records that we're talking about, they're saying, I just noticed where he said I was falsifying business records. Well, the falsification of business records, as they say, it was calling a legal expense in the books where everybody could see them, a legal expense. In other words, that legal fees or legal expense were put down as legal expense by accountants. They weren't put down by me, they were put down by accountants. I didn't call them construction, concrete work, I didn't call them electrical work, I didn't call them anything. They called a legal fee or a legal expense, and for this, I got indicted. It's incredible, actually. Now, if you look, my attorney alluded to it. The top legal scholars and legal pundits in this country, the ones that are quoted all the time on television, that are making their views felt, and highly respected people, have said, everyone, virtually everyone that I know of, I haven't seen any to the contrary, not one, and none of these people are not exactly friends of mine, to put it mildly. But they all said this is a case that should have never been brought. It's an injustice of justice. Very respected Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Judge David Rifkin, a wonderful man who just passed away, by the way.
What you gonna do? Trump got off
Jarrett, Ellie Honig from CNN, of all places.
This is probably
CNN
2025.
said that. Paul Ingrassia, Alan Dershowitz, they all said this is not a case that should be brought. It's not, think about it, legal expenses are down as legal expenses, and I get indicted for business records. Everybody should be so accurate. It's been a political witch hunt. It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work. And the people of our country got to see this firsthand because they watched the case in your courtroom. They got to see this firsthand, and then they voted, and I won and got the largest number of votes by far of any Republican candidate in history, and won, as you know, all 7 swing states, won conclusively all 7 swing states, and won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. And they've been watching your trial, so they understood it. I wasn't allowed to use the lawyer-client privilege or the reliance on counsel. I had a lawyer that made this deal, and he admitted that. And he was also a totally discredited person. We weren't allowed to use the information from the Southern District that totally discredited him. It wasn't allowed to be put in. And that was terrible, unbelievable. And this is a man who's got no standing. He's been disbarred on other matters, unrelated. And he was allowed to talk as though he were George Washington. But he's not George Washington. He shouldn't have been allowed. The Southern District did a book of approximately 28 pages where I've never seen anything like it. They excoriated him. You wouldn't let it be put into evidence. So he was able to testify as a witness, and I think it's a disgrace to the system. I was under a gag order. I'm the first president in history that was under a gag order where I couldn't talk about aspects of the case that are very important. I guess I'm still under, so probably I won't do it now. I assume I'm still under a gag order.
Lace front. That's a different.
But the fact is that I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong. They talk about business records, and the business records were extremely accurately counted. I had nothing to do with them. That was done by an accountant, bookkeeper who I think gave very credible testimony. It was corroborated by everybody that was asked. And with all that's happening in our country today, with a city that's burning to the ground, one of our largest, most important cities burning to the ground, with wars that are uncontrollably going on, with all of the problems of inflation and attacks on countries and all of the horrible things that are going on, I got indicted over calling a legal expense a legal expense. It was called a legal expense. I just want to say I think it's an embarrassment to New York, and
hey, it's
New
called
York
legal
has a lot of problems, but this is a
man.
great embarrassment. I believe that this and other cases that were brought, as you know, the DOJ is very much involved in this case. It's because that's the political opponent they're talking about. The DOJ is very involved. You have a gentleman sitting right there from the DOJ who was from the DOJ's office. He was also involved with the New York State Attorney General's case.
Twitch.
And he went from there to here. He went around and did what he had to do.
YouTube,
got them to move on me. But in the meantime, I won the election in a massive landslide.
What it is. Not a lot of
people
commentary.
of this country understand what's gone on. This has been a weaponization of government. They call it lawfare. Never happened to any extent like this, but never happened in our country before. And I'd just like to exclaim that I was treated very, very unfairly. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Weekly show.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
Yeah, I ain't doing all that. Y'all can click here and subscribe. Either way, I'm probably gonna wrap up this stream for now because I got real work to do. Right? So I appreciate everybody who's tapped in so far on the TikTok, on the YouTube, on the Twitch. Again, we may add Instagram later, but it's a wild week. I may actually stream again tonight. It may be some video gameplay. I got to put some WD-40 on the chair again. Still haven't done it. Don't blame it to my head, not my heart and my laziness, because I have a lot of things to do. I'm a one-man band, so even setting up my stream, I don't have a team. It's all me. But we're gonna make it all happen, you know. So thank you for tapping in, everybody who is here. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll be having some content from this stream added to the YouTube channel. I've been told y'all Black Caucus is April 10th. I've been told y'all that. I just think it's kind of crazy as I wrap this up, thinking about it, that how can you be convicted, guilty of a jury, then you get sentenced and they sentence you to nothing, and this is the end all be all. You feel me? This is the end all be all of what it is. If you want America to change, it ain't changing on our watch. The rich gonna stay richer, the poor gonna stay poor. And it really depends on if you have the damn attorney to get your ass off in the first place. Either way, man, I'll be chopping this up. I'll be back on, maybe playing some Armored Forge after my next call. That'll be on my gaming channel, Hip Hop Lobbyist Gaming. I appreciate y'all though. I'm out. Is that the best way to end it? I appreciate y'all though. I'm out. I guess.